We continue with our lecture on the contacts. So let's look at influence from local languages. So what influence have local languages had on English language? As we pointed out earlier, English has had a lot of influence from local languages, given that people who speak English also speak other languages. And it's common that when people speak a number of languages, there is influence as a result of the frequent contact. And also that our local languages are not the same as English. They have different grammar, different structure, different pronunciation, and quite a lot of things that are different. Sometimes some of these things are not found in English, and in the speaking of English, they are simply moved from the local languages to English. So that makes the English that we speak different, because there are things that are found in that English that are not found in other Englishes around the world. So that is one of the things we will want to understand about influence. So English language has been influenced by local languages due to sustained contacts, as I did mention. Most words come into English because they don't have English equivalents. So, for example, if I say Furawa, when I'm speaking, I talk about Furawa, a place in Cameroon, in Menchum. There is no translation of Furawa anywhere, so it has to be that way. So a person who is reading, maybe a native speaker who reads and sees Furawa, the person will be wondering what kind of thing is that. Is it a person? Is it a place? Whatever it is, the person may only understand in terms of context that probably I'm talking about a place somewhere in Cameroon. So influence from local languages can be seen from various aspects. We look at influence from names. In terms of names, we look at names of food, names of persons, names of places. We look at influence in pronunciation, and we look at influence in grammar. So these are the aspects we will want to look at. We will look at it briefly. You're going to have an article that you're going to read to have more of these things there. So, people's names are never translated into English when people speak or when they speak. So their names are never translated in English when they speak. They appear in their natural form in English, giving it a local flavor. So let's look at names. For example, you have Echu, you have Ayafo, you have Mulu, you have Ngong, you have Alubede, for example. So these are names of people. In the course of writing, these names are names that are common in Cameroon. And when one is speaking English, these names come in. So that becomes a local influence, or influence from our local languages into English language. So the next one is dishes. For dishes, we have Achu, Ndole, Okok, Ekpang, Kati Kati. So if we have, these are just a few of the so many food items. I'm just giving an example of how English language is influenced. So all these things come into language, and they make the English language what it is. And we speak it. People who listen to us speak, they will know that, okay, this is language. This is English language spoken by a Cameroonian, because of the kind of things that I say that are not common in other languages. Places: Furawa, Ekiliwindi, Fako, Kumba, I mean others that you can just begin to name them. We have so many places that are not found anywhere on earth, that you don't have any of those pronunciations anywhere. They are strictly Cameroonian, and when you speak, they will know that that is a place in Cameroon. I don't know any Furawa that is found anywhere in the world. I don't have any Kiliwindi that is found anywhere. I don't know, probably it may be found somewhere, I don't know. But that is what we are talking about. So those are the influences. Let's look at the influence in pronunciation. One distinguishing mark of varieties in English language is pronunciation. Pronunciation, because our local languages are framed in such a way that there are things that we cannot pronounce them the way we pronounce English. There are certain sounds that are found in our local languages that we don't have them in English, and there are certain sounds that are found in English, we don't have them in local languages. So in the course, if somebody who speaks a local language decides to communicate in English, and there are certain sounds in English that are not found in his or her local language, the tendency is that he will speak English as if he was speaking the local language, because he will be forced to transport the sounds of the local language into English. And that makes the English different, such that if we have people who come from 5 different localities and they have different issues in relation to English language, we have different kinds of English spoken by these people, because by the end of the day, we'll find English that is so mixed up with different pronunciation patterns from the local languages to English language. So some communities replace r with l, meaning that there are some communities that do not have r in their pronunciation, so they have l. So they will rather replace these two, r and l, r and l. So instead of saying Land Rover, they'll say Land Lover. Land Lover. Rain becomes len. Rat becomes lat. So I don't want to call communities. I'm sure that you should know some communities that are that pronounce like that. So you can make your investigation and you see. So meaning other replacements abound, which I have not named here. So you look for other replacements. So activity. This is what you're going to be doing. In at least 5 examples, show how your local tongue has influenced English pronunciation. 5 examples. Show how your local tongue has influenced English pronunciation. I am not saying that you should write and submit. You are free to do this. You are free not to do it. But if you do it, that's fine for you. So this is an activity that I just want you to get engaged. You can even discuss with your friends, and then you find out what happens in other communities. Okay, let's look at influence in grammar. The grammar of most of the languages in Cameroon has had an influence on Cameroon English. The influence is that the structure is always different. The structure of the local language and the structure of English language is not the same. You see, most of the time when Cameroonians speak and they make mistakes, those mistakes are attributed to Pidgin English. It is always considered that they speak that way because they have been speaking Pidgin English. But we usually neglect the structure of the influence of the structure of our local languages into the English language that we speak. Take for example, their structure have been used in English by speakers of different languages. Let's use these examples. I am going me. I am going me, it is easy to hold Cameroon Pidgin responsible for this structure, because you would simply say Adegomi, and people will say, okay, since you say Adegomi and the me comes at the end, it means that it is the structure of Pidgin that has been taken here. But can you construct that sentence in your local language and see whether the structure is different? You have eaten all the food that I will eat what? When you do this, you also find out there is something that you need to know. The structure, there's something about structure. You are crying what? In most local languages, this is the structure that we have there. So you find out it's just the same thing. Okay, let's look at the spread of English among Francophones. The definition of Francophone is also as political as that of Anglophones, as we already saw. So just to say that if we were to define Francophones, we will be looking at the same things we said about Anglophones, reverse them and say them about Francophones, and that would be the same thing. Cameroon English has had quite a lot of influence from French. I'll probably not be giving you all the influence. Actually, French is a dominant language in the country. Not only are its speakers estimated at around 4/5 of the population, but also the country's administration is conceived in French and then translated into English. Of course, that's what happens. Cameroon is more of a French state than a bilingual state, because most of the things that happen, they are done in French first and later translated into English, if at all some of them are translated. So that becomes so complex. So I'm giving you an article that you're going to read. When you read that article, you do just one-page summary. That article is by Quager. He looks at the influence of French on English language, on L2 in Cameroon. So you look at all those aspects that have come in. Try as much as possible to summarize what you get from those aspects. Don't put down everything, put down the essential, just a page. You do that and you send to me. That I will mark. But I also want you to understand that by the end of this week, you will have a quiz online. So please, you should all be online to have that quiz. That will be on Friday. On Friday, I will give you a quiz online. Inform all your friends. That quiz is very important. Don't miss it, because please, I will not have excuses for that. And you know that when we resume in July, we'll have only 2 weeks in school, from the 13th to the 27th, and that's just a period for you to write exams. So by that time, we would have submitted your CAs. So be sure that you are there to take all your CAs and everything. I will submit. I'm using the school platform, and at the same time, I am also using WhatsApp to send to those who cannot get the school platform immediately. But every exam is taken on the school platform. But I give you notes and everything on WhatsApp and also on the school platform, so that you can equally be able to have it. Probably I will even use Edmodo as well, for those who can still use Edmodo, to be able to use all the platforms necessary so that you can have your notes. I don't desire that any person fails, because for anything, have your notes everywhere. But please, for exams, make sure that you go on the school platform and write your exam, because the university is also monitoring it and knowing what is happening. So that's why I insist on the platform. Okay.